Let me ask you a question. Do you actually are training your abs? Maybe you do, but in the incorrect way. So in this video, I want to show you the 6 steps that you must follow to actually make your abs pop. So let's get to number 1. So the first thing that I want to clarify in this video is by asking you this question. How do you train your abs? I have seen some people in the gym train abs in very different ways. We have the full range of motion guys. We have the half range of motion ones. We have the ones that only do crunches and that's it. And all of those 3 may have their advantages and disadvantages, but I need to tell you some common misconceptions first before actually telling you how to train your abs, because you need to make sure that you're actually training them the right way, and you need to change your beliefs around training your abs, because training your abs is just the same as training any other muscle. Probably you have seen on social media or your friends have told you that you need to train your abs in a specific way because it's where most of the fat hangs on, right? But in reality, the abdominal muscles are the rectus abdominis and other muscles that cover the abs in this area in particular. And as the name suggests, they are skeletal muscles, just like your biceps, your chest, your back, your legs. But for some reason, we have believed that training our abs needs to be in a different way because we need to burn all the fat by doing a bunch of crunches. That's just a misconception. So if you still believe that misconception in the mid 2024, you're very back in the game of fitness, but I'm here to help you. I'm not here to judge you. So that's the first thing that we need to be sure. Do you actually are training your abs the right way? What beliefs do you have in training your abs? Because if you're training your abs the wrong way, you will never actually see those muscles pop. Yes, maybe you see them, but it's based on your nutrition. That we're gonna talk about that later in the video. If you had 5 exercises to only build your abs, what those exercises will they be? Do you actually answer that? Let's see if your answer is correct, because I have some very good exercises that I have made throughout my 4 years of experience, and I think that have the best probability of progressively overloading in different ways. But here are the 5 exercises that you should actually do. And the first one is reverse crunches. It's this exercise that you must know the technique. I have seen that a lot of people do partial reps with this exercise, but try to focus on lowering your legs when you feel that deep stretch in your abs, especially in the lower abs. If you don't feel a stretch on your lower abs, that means that you need to go down further. Once you know how to train this, try to decline the bench more and more until you can actually progressively overload it with weight, right? So the second one is hanging or / captain's chair knee raises. Now, this is a more beginner friendly exercise because if you're gonna do hanging leg raises right away, maybe you don't have the grip strength to do it, right? So I think that captain's chair knee raises is a good way to actually concentrate more on those abdominal muscles. Try to go down until your body is basically straight, and that means that your abs are fully elongated, and then do a full contraction back up. This is also a good exercise to progressively overload. Don't miss that one. Then if you want to progress, we go to the third exercise, which is leg raises, which is a very other good option for you if you have the grip strength. You don't only work your abs, you work also your grip strength as well. So that's a bonus right there. The fourth one is decline crunches. Now, decline crunches is one of those other exercises that you might be doing wrong. You maybe are not leaning all the way back on the bench, and that means that you're not fully stretching your abs, because the key here is stretching your abs. If you don't stretch your abs fully, you are not gonna reap all the benefits of the stimulus you're giving to your muscles. So you always need to train hard no matter what muscles, which I'm going to talk about that later. And the last one is cable crunches. What I really love about cable crunches is that you have the weight to progress, you have the resistance from the cables, you can do more reps, you can do a lot of things, you can do a lot of techniques and still build your muscles of the abs. So if these were the 5 exercises that I only had, I would be very happy, because each exercise trains in a very specific position, and you can try to switch them on and off depending on what your routine you do. But I think these 5 exercises have been a game changer. I'm gonna ask you another question, and is that what exercises do you actually are doing right now? If you click on this video having the doubt that if you are doing the right exercises or not, then I need to tell you that there's so many exercises of training your abs that are just so wrong, so unnecessary to do, just waste you a lot of time. You see all those routines also on YouTube, these 7-minute routines, the 15-minute routines with a bunch of weights and a bunch of other stuff that you need to do, a bunch of circuits. You don't need to do any of that, because that's more endurance work right there. If you are just looking for a 7-minute routine and do as much abs exercises as you can, you're actually training your endurance and not for hypertrophy, which is two different ways of training. Endurance is more to elevate your cardiovascular fitness. Hypertrophy training is to build your muscle, right? So endurance also is more anaerobic and hypertrophy is more anaerobic. So we need to focus on the anaerobic part of the training. So any exercise that you're doing right now that is half reps, you're doing them very fast, you're doing them once a week, you don't have a specific routine, you're changing their exercises every single week, you're not gonna achieve that goal of having big abs, because the bigger the abs you have, the more they're gonna pop in a higher body fat percentage, right? Don't do half reps neither. If you do half reps in your abs exercises, I don't know what you're doing, because again, training your abs is like training any other muscle. If you implement the same techniques as of building muscle as other body parts, your abs are gonna grow and your abs are gonna feel that stimulus. All right, I want to ask you also another question is, how do you train your abs? If you already have some exercises in your routine, because as I just mentioned, maybe you're training them doing half reps, maybe you're training them with a lot of reps or few reps or too many few sets. The first thing that you should do for training your abs is by doing slow eccentrics. If you do slow eccentrics, you're gonna start actually feel those muscles, because in this video that I saw of Jeffrey Verity's Schofield, I think of the muscles working, but you should not think about it. You should feel your muscles working, and that's the biggest mistake when people train their abs. They think they're working their abs by doing a bunch of routines like I just mentioned, but in reality, if you actually feel the muscles work, you're actually going to see your abs popping throughout the month if you do the right techniques, right? So that's the first thing. If you do slow eccentrics, that's just like a hack of you actually feeling those muscles working, right? After that, it's just making sure that you do the right amount of reps and sets throughout the week. For building muscle, the minimal amount of sets is around 6 sets per week, but for abs, you can actually space a lot of time to just do around 12 to 20 sets a week, because if you are just training your abs once a week, then you're missing the opportunity to grow your abs muscles. Again, just like any other muscle, you can train them 2 to 3 times a week, and I'm gonna tell you that later. And the third thing, doing progressive overload. If you don't implement progressive overload to your abs exercises, you're not giving them more resistance, and if you're not giving them more resistance, then they're not gonna grow, right? So now that you know how to train your abs, I want to ask you how you have implemented this exercises to your routine, how you have implemented training your abs, because there's very different ways to implement abs exercises to your routine. And the first way is, for example, you do a push-pull leg split. Then, for example, you can add 1 or 2 abs exercises twice a week in your legs routine. For example, if you train your legs 2 times a week, then after you finish training your legs, you can go ahead and train your abs. Or you can do the same in your push days or your pull days, because push-pull legs usually is 6 times a week. So depending on how long your workouts are or how better you feel like, it depends on you, but always try to implement them this way if you feel comfortable. Another way is by doing 2 days only for abs, and these days usually are the days that you actually do your cardio as well, or your high intensity interval training. And you can do this by first doing a warm-up, then training your abs, and then doing the cardio. Always do the anaerobic training before the aerobic, right? So that's another good way to actually train your abs on a day specifically for that, because you have more energy, you focus more on doing the techniques I mentioned earlier. And the third way, you have 15 sets to train your abs a week. You can split those 15 sets in 3 sets every single day, Monday through Friday, and including them on your workouts no matter what workout, because I think this is the most convenient to do it. And especially if your exercise is just body weight, you can just do it at your home. That's another great way to do it. So I think these are the 3 best ways to implement these abs exercises to your routine. And lastly, I want to tell about your nutrition, because I think this is the most important thing, especially for your abs, because when we are measuring body fat percentages, the lower the body fat percentage, the better your abs will look on you. Your abs will start looking, and that's a big goal for a lot of us, reducing our body fat percentage to actually see our abs. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the bigger your abs muscles, the higher the body fat percentage you can have and still make your abs visible. But if you want to build muscle in your abs, you need to be in a caloric maintenance or a slight surplus. And that's the key. If you don't, again, like I said in other videos, if you don't put more and more bricks to the house is not going to be built. If you're just removing and putting the same brick, you're not doing anything, right? So for building muscle in your abs, you need to be in a caloric surplus. So if you're in a bulk, try to actually train your abs the same way you train any other muscle, like I just mentioned for the 5th time already. But now, if you already have built some muscle in your abs, or if you are high in body fat percentage, the best option for you is to lose fat, so be in a caloric deficit. And throughout the weeks and months, you're gonna see in around after 9 to 12 months, you're gonna see your abs way more visible because you have lost all that fat. Now, you may be in a lower body fat percentage, but when you build muscle again and lose the fat again, you will notice that your abs will pop on a higher body fat percentage, even though you're losing fat. So your nutrition is key for building your abs. So if I help you in this video, train your abs the right way and clear out some misconceptions. I hope you enjoy this video. This video was a great idea for me because I know we all are losing fat right now in summer, and I wanted to help you how to actually train your abs if you are motivated to train your abs. The most important thing is to be consistent and be disciplined and have a routine. So once you implement these steps, you're gonna see a lot of results. So check my link down below in the description if you want personalized training with me, and see y'all in the next video. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed and learned something new, and see y'all guys in the next video.